Listen in while I share my experience with breast implants.
Hey y'all. Okay, so let's do story time because I know I've talked in the past about my breast implants, how they made me sick, how they almost killed my ass, okay? But I've been receiving messages from different ladies, coming up summertime, every time it's around this time, I get a message or messages, ladies asking me, my pros and cons of breast implants, how I got sick, how I felt, what happened. So I'm gonna go into details because I never really went into details from point A to point Z exactly what happened. So and I'm working on doing this, y'all. So bear with me. I gotta get things done, but I wanted to do story time too. So All right. So I was at work. It was back in 2018, I believe. I was at work, and me and my really good friend, she worked with me as well, but she's my really, really good friend. She was helping me plan my birthday to Cabo. And we were doing some last minute planning. So, the trip was coming up. We planned it, we paid for it. We was like, hey, we're ready to go. So a couple of weeks after that, I started to get really, really sick. Like I was like, girl, I think I got the flu or something. I'm not feeling well. Like I've been sick. And she was like, you better get well. It's time to go on vacation. It's time to turn up. Get well. Go to the doctor. So I was like, okay. So me, I was self-medicating and I stayed home for like a week. I was sick for like a week. And after that week, I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's just dragging on. Like, I don't know. I've never felt this bad. Like, I've had the flu in the past. I've had colds and stuff, things of that nature. But I've never felt that bad. Like, it was terrible. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for a couple of more days. Let me make me an appointment just to go, get tested to see what's going on. So I did. I waited and I ended up going to the doctor. And they pretty much just tested me for flu. This was before COVID and all of that, but they pretty much just tested me for flu and everything. And it came back that I didn't have any of that. I didn't have the flu. So they were like, oh, it's probably just a common cold, a stomach bug, and my oldest, he was in school. So I was like, maybe he did bring me something from school, because that's coming, right? So I was like, okay, I'll give it a couple of more days and see if it clear up. If not, I'm coming back. So, a couple of more days went by. I was still sick. Called in where I was like, I can't come into work. Like it was getting really, really, really bad. So I ended up making another doctor's appointment. And y'all, I was still sick after a couple of days after I went to the doctor, right? So now I'm like, oh, hell no. It's been almost a week and a half and I'm not even starting to feel not even a little bit better. I was like, no, something is wrong. You know when something's wrong with your body, right? So, of course, me being me, I went back to the doctor. I was like, look, something is seriously wrong. Like, I don't have a flu. It's not a common cold. I'm not feeling better. First of all, I'm not even snotting and sneezing. So, I don't even know why I said it was probably a common cold. I don't know. I don't have a stomach bug. Something is going on. So, of course, the doctor was like, okay, well, let's run some blood work, right? Let's do some blood work. Okay, they did the blood work. They said everything came back fine. I had to wait for that. It came back within a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. Had to wait for that to come back, and they said that everything was fine. So I was like, okay, at this point, I'm taking my butt to the ER. So let's go to the ER. I told my husband, I was like, no, like I'm laying down. I can't move. Like I'm so weak. I could barely feed myself. I wasn't eating anything. I didn't want to drink anything. Anything I drank, whether it was water, whatever, it came right back up. Within a week and a half, I had lost, around 8 pounds. So I was like, no, like something is seriously wrong. Like I'm so weak. Like I was basically getting bedridden at that point. So, I went to the ER. And this is my first trip to the ER because I had several, a whole lot. I went to the ER and of course they was like, oh, let's make sure you're not dehydrated. Let's hook you up to IV. And then they were like, oh, are you in any pain? Let's give you some pain meds. I'm like, no, like I'm sick. Something is wrong. So they started running all kind of tests. Blood work, some cultures or something they sent out off, like they were sending off all kind of blood work trying to figure out what was wrong. And of course, within a few hours, they sent my ass home. They were saying, "Oh, we gave you some fluids. You'll feel better like the next couple of days." I'm like, no, like something is wrong. So after that, they sent me home. I called my doctor back and I was like, look, I went to the ER. Like, I know something is wrong with my body. Like, I know my body very well. So I was like, they ran tests. They're saying nothing is wrong. Like, we need to, whether you have to send me to some specialist or whatever, like, we need to start pinpointing this because it's not going good. I was telling her about the weight loss, how I was unable to drink water, keep anything down. Okay, boom. She told me to come back in. So I went back in. When I went back into the doctor, she referred me to a gastro specialist. At this point, she was like, "Oh, you're losing weight, so it may be maybe something autoimmune." Okay, so gastro specialist. It was a month later before I could get into the gastro specialist. But in between that time, I was calling around, I was researching, I was back and forth to the hospital. The only thing they found with all my visits was that my calcium was low. They told me it wasn't nothing wrong. I was completely healthy. Pretty much, I felt like they was making a mockery of me. Like, it's nothing wrong with her. When I tell you, and it don't just happen to black women, it happened to a lot of us women in general, where, we have these illnesses or we feel sick and we don't get the help that we deserve. I experienced that firsthand. I was just shocked. I begged them to admit me and do further tests, like more detailed tests. They admitted me one time and then they sent me home the next day and told me it wasn't anything wrong with me. I broke down. I cried, y'all. I cried. I almost gave up. I was like, oh my God. So at this time, reality started to sink in. Like, these people aren't going to help me. Like, they don't think nothing is wrong. Like, I'm going to have to find out what the hell wrong with myself. Like, so at this point, my entire family know, my mom, like, they started to get worried. They were trying to find ways to get me help. Everybody was just worried because you can tell physically and visually looking at me, you could tell that I was sick. Something was wrong. But the doctors and the specialists are saying nothing is wrong with me. So, all right. So within that month, I was doing my research, still losing weight. I told you I was down 25 pounds. Roll around. It's time for me to see the gastro specialist. So by this time, I'm just like, they had to roll me in. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't even walk in. Like, somebody had to drive me there. My friend Candace, she had to drive me there. When they saw me, he was just like, and it was a minority doctor. So, I felt like he took me a little bit more seriously. Maybe not. I don't know. That's how I felt. But I just broke down to him. At that point, I couldn't even explain what was wrong anymore because I had explained it to so many doctors. And I just broke down. I said, if I don't get help soon, like, I feel like I'm going to die. Like, I need somebody to help me. I was like, I can't do this no more. So he called in an emergency appointment for a colonoscopy. And it was like that next week. So by the time I was getting a colonoscopy, y'all, I was 105 pounds. 105.